All right, what's good in the hood? UFC 323 recap. Late to the game, but better late than never. I'm going to do a quick little opinion recap of what I saw. I actually missed some of the early fights for reasons I won't get into, so I actually missed some of these bangers at the very beginning, especially the performance tonight going to Iwo Baranowski, fellow Pole. But yeah, this was an amazing pay per view. For those that missed it or only catch the recap or the main card, go back and watch all of it. Like it was great. There was a streak of finishes. I believe Mr. Vittoria was one who stopped that initial streak. I mean, look at this: one finish, two finish, three finish, four finish, five finish, six finish, seven finish. Main event not as well. Eight, nine finishes. Pretty good. Pretty good. There was a lot of good stuff on this card. I mean, like I said, I'll stick to the main event, but I mean, Jalen Turner came out of retirement, a very short-lived retirement, and beat the brakes out of Barboza. Two knockdowns, I believe. Barboza was a bloody mess by then. Very sad, just because I think he, at this point, like I don't know why he's still fighting. He's already been there, done it. He's way past his prime. Jalen Turner, obviously, you could argue, is in his prime, and the odds showed that as much. Sad to see for him. Happy to see for Jalen Turner. Get him back there. Maybe, hopefully, try to speed boost him into the rankings or something. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, a lot of just good finishes. Macy Barber, she had a good one. I'm watching this stuff more intently, and I was. You can leave your opinion in the comment of what you thought. Those like she got like two up kicks against her. Second one pushed her back, and I was like, I mean, I'm a Macy Barber fan for obvious reasons. But, yeah, it was just like, they didn't take a point, just like with these eye pokes. It's like, if you get a warning, and then you do it again, and the second one, and I believe it was something like the ref was trying to say, like, oh, it wasn't significant to Macy. But then, like, the commissioner or someone on the side was telling the ref, like, no, it was significant. Like, she got hit flush on the chin, and then, like, now she's saying she's dizzy, which try not to use the R word to get canceled. But I mean, Barber, I don't know why would you ever say that when the ringside doctor's checking out the stats you after an illegal hit. Nonetheless, she looked pretty good. This is great, just because if you go check my other my video, my tier list video of the weight classes, women's flyweight. It's happy to see we got another contender reemerge after a long layoff. Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan. This was just all gas, no brakes. Terrence, he lives up to the name, but I mean, goddamn, I feel like he has no IQ. He had Duncan, on skates very early, and then just leaves his chin out there and gets cracked, and then gets submitted, and it's entertaining. And obviously for him, which actually he never gets bonuses. I believe he has yet to get one bonus, even though this guy either gets finished or finishes someone in the first round. Yeah, it was sad, but it was very entertaining. Also another first round finish, Manuel Torres. I was like watching him, like you could just tell he was just like biding his time, waiting for Dawson just to like have his chin out and just cracked him. Tough for Dawson. Obviously his teammate got the win, he didn't. This one pained me. I mean, Jan Blachowicz, again, another fellow countryman, he just like, I don't know. I mean, I definitely agree. It was probably a 10-8 round two. Let's see the stats. 50-25, but he got the knockdown. It says Jan got a knockdown. I don't know what's going on there. I guess I thought it would be round by round. They would include the knockdowns. I guess it's just like, that's weird. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Guskov, can't you say your name, brother? I don't know how you didn't finish this 41-year-old Pole. Like, you knocked him down. You're dropping these elbows. I think if he had just been a little more relentless, he would have gotten the finish, and he threw it away. I mean, maybe he thought he won the first round. He didn't. And on top of that, he gets dropped in the end of the third round. Sure, that wasn't going to be a 10-8, but it's like, brother, what are you doing? Like, are you not trying to get into that top five? Like, sure, you're probably not going to get to a title shot, but like, how you losing to a guy who was on an 0-3 losing streak, 41? It's just painful, and at the end of the day, it stinks for both of them because, I don't think either of them will get, their fight bonus. all that stuff, and it just puts someone like Jan, who's just like he's had close decisions against top contenders, and then boom, you get this. He loses split decisions, and now he loses or gets a draw. Like, what are we doing? Amazing fight. I don't even recall what I predicted on this. I probably was on the camp of Henry still got it, even though he's looking like a weird muffin in this picture. And I will say, compared to what he looked like years back, on fight night, his physique just like he just doesn't like, and it's probably the injuries and all that. Maybe the eyes taking some toll on his body as a whole. You never know. But yeah, I mean the numbers don't lie. 77 to 156. 1-3, which is a crazy statistic. When Payton did that little face thing after he got the first was the inside leg trip, Henry's special takedown, he got on him himself. Yeah, I mean this was a great showing. Payton Talbot, obviously former, trained with Cejudo, so maybe he knew some tricks of the trade. Obviously Cejudo, very much at the tail end of his career, and he seemed to just throw caution in the wind at times. Was nearly getting finished. That's probably the biggest asterisk will be the fact that Payton couldn't get the finish against. Henry's definitely hard to finish, but nonetheless, I think he showed a lot of improvement, especially with his grappling. I won't go much into this. Mr. Lego Man, I felt terrible because I think it was an early stoppage. Who knows if he would have just kept like getting flattened out? I mean, he was in that's a very brutal position, but it's different for these flyweights to be in that position where I think back to like Gustafsson getting finished by John Jones in the same exact position. They're light heavyweights. John Jones, at that point, Gustafsson was not going to get him off his back. I get that one. This one, it just felt like it was a little premature. I think Brandon actually he would have had the first round too, but that weird submission attempt he was going for like the triangle. Joe Rogan was going nuts, like, oh, he's got it, like, triangle around the knee, like, it is what it is, but I think Brandon will come. I mean, he didn't take a lot of damage, so he probably will try to do a quick turnaround. Tatsuro Taira, due to circumstances in the co-main, is probably going to get a title shot, especially seeing as though he took minimal damage. This could be, I don't know, a February pay-per-view, whatever. I don't know what the exact spring schedule is, but you could slap this on like a February, March range. Obviously, Pantoja, we'll have to see what his injuries are. It's going to happen. I mean, it feels like it's like destined to happen. At least one out of every, handful of elite fighters, someone's reign's going to end. And I mean, without going into details, I know someone that posted their arm and they blew their wrist out. I always thought like, oh, that seems kind of ridiculous. Like, unless you're like, a fat lard ass, like, these guys are small, athletic. Like, I'm just surprised. But they made it sound like his shoulder dislocated. Obviously, that's going to cause some ligament damage. So it might not be a complete break on his elbow. But it's rough. I mean, it happened right at the beginning. So, maybe that's why he wasn't fully warmed up. Who knows? Good on Joshua Van. He's like 24, born in 2000s. Makes me feel like an old, unproductive lard ass. But good on him. I mean, he's in a position where if he can ride this wave and actually get a really good first title defense, and Pantoja might be out for a year, who knows? So he could rack some wins before he has to actually, fight the rightful lineal champ. But the main event, I'll use the rest of this time for this. Go check out my video. I don't know the exact quote I was saying, but I was building to this idea that I picked Jan, and I picked Jan because I thought one of the biggest X factors that, don't get me wrong, fighters will, when they lose, and sometimes even when they win, they will, in the interview, in the octagon, the interviews after, who knows where, Instagram, they will say, I had a bad injury, or I had a tough weight cut, or I'm going through a divorce, whatever, and like, you're like, all right, so they're saying they couldn't throw their arm, or they were saying that their cardio was sapped because they got staph, or they're saying that their ex-wife was texting them in the warm-up room. Everyone's going to have excuses. Jan was saying that he had, like, I believe a bum shoulder going into the fight, so he couldn't really use his right arm. And on top of that, he blew his knee out in, like, the first round after stopping, like, the first 10 of the 50 takedowns the first time they fought. Obviously, on the reverse side, Merab, I believe, had a swollen right hand or something that he took a picture of. So, in theory, they were both compromised. Obviously, Merab steamrolled him to a 50-45. But I was just thinking, I'm like, I believe it was Jan's lead power hand, too, was hurt. But more so the fact that it's going to make you a lot more reserved and tougher to honestly probably defend those takedowns when you know, like, you don't have a lot of power. Like, when you have a shoulder injury, you think about it. Grappling's harder. Striking is probably compromised, especially his jab and all that, and his cross, which are some of his main weapons. But I mean, he looked real big on fight night, and he just excelled. I mean, his striking was on point. He developed that jab real early, and Merab, I think, just wears a lot of damage on his face. I mean, even though he was on a 14 fight win streak. Some of those fights he does take damage, and it adds up. The scar tissue. I mean, he's had bloody wars, probably 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, early in his pro career, amateur career, all that. So, unlike someone where I would compare him to Jan in the sense that Jan's been through wars, but I feel like Jan, he's really good at, and he did this in this fight too, where even though significant strikes, I don't know significant, 134 to 139, very close. Borrow MMA Girl's opinion, but I had it too in the moment. I'm thinking Merab's cracking Jan. Jan's cracking back, but every time Jan cracks, I feel like you get a reaction on Merab. Either it's the jab, the body kicks. You see Merab like saying who knows what. He's like, like, yeah, it's not good when the toe drills into that liver in round 3 and you're saying something that's audible if you raise the volume, and then he's immediately backing up. And he did it again, I believe, in the 5th round. But it literally just as simple as the jab. Every time he'd hit the jab, it would stop the takedown that Merab was eventually going to push, because he would just get stopped in his tracks. And then on top of that, what am I going to say? On the reverse side, every time Merab would hit Jan, Jan is a very tight boxing guard and all that, and it's either it would hit the forearm, hit his shoulder because he's rolling. If it hit the head, it would kind of graze. And sure, Jan's got some bruises if you go look at his story the next day, whatever, belt in the bed and all that. But it's he just every round looked like he wasn't really wearing much damage. And then on top of that, Merab's bleeding. I think it was an elbow around the 1st, 2nd round that, by the 4th or 5th, Merab looks like a butcher out there. And it's his own blood that's getting butchered. So that was obviously the first side of things. Jan was just giving so much damage output. But the reason he was getting so much damage output is because the fight was mostly standing. Merab was at 2 for 29 on takedowns. And the crazy fact is, no one would probably have this on their bingo card. Jan, 5 for 9, 56 to 7%, and he 2.5x rated his takedown success. That is a crazy statistic. And Jan's takedowns, the one we dumped on his head, when Bilal did it to it was a callback to when Bilal did it to Leon. Not as high, so the impact wasn't as bad, but it still looked pretty nasty. John Anik was jumping out of his seat, being oh my god, because he loves Merab and all that. But yeah, I mean, the other half was obviously Jan, because probably A, he's was fully healthy, and B, he knew he was trained for this, so he's putting probably a good portion outside of his boxing and kicking was just working all sorts of scramble ability, especially off the cage, and he did a damn good job. Even when he would get taken down, like the one where Merab picked him up and just the little, kind of like we did Cejudo, where he just walks over like a meme to the center and just drops him. Jan got up in 7 seconds. There was no riding time on Merab's point, on Merab's end, as my timer goes off for my dinner. I don't know if they show control. Yeah, they don't show control time yet. I want to say it had been less than 3 or 4 minutes on Merab, and Jan himself had some control time. And I know Snows too, Merab was trying to do the classic, I'm gonna push you, against the cage, body lock you because I have really good grip, and I'm just gonna knee to the thigh because that can steal rounds, right? If it's a close, but Jan's getting more damage in the 1st round. Merab had him against the cage for a minute or two. Go watch this back because this is gonna be a generational fight. Jan was dropping these hard elbows on the grip to not just break because you're hitting on the hand, but he's doing it on the forearm, and it's these guys are fighters, and Merab is he's the top of the top when it comes to probably just pain tolerance, and I don't give an F until the next day when I'm swollen as hell. Chandler probably falls in that category too. Go look at his ice mask videos, but he was doing things like that where I feel it was so ingenious to do that, knowing that Merab will just persevere and keep holding it until you eventually rip the grip, maybe 2 minutes in. But he gets 15 of those. He does it again round 2, and it starts to make me think either his form's a shot, or on top of that, just Merab's just general ability to keep his grip strength was starting to taper. Then the fact that Jan's now by round 3 heavily damaged his face, the liver was shot. All in all, Jan demonstrated the perfect game plan, everyone's saying, but more so he's just like a perfect martial artist. He showed he could take down Merab as needed, just to like maybe give him some space, this and that. He showed he could scramble against the cage. He could scramble in the middle of the octagon when those deep single legs were taken. He could jab. He could cross. So his boxing was on point. His kickboxing was on point. He was hitting elbows and uppercuts, in the clinch. He did everything. And his cardio didn't really waver at all. Like, even maybe around round 3 to 4, round 4 to 5, it started to saper like a little bit at the end. But I feel like he was so wise and would start off a little slow in the beginning of those rounds. It'd be fully up and he'd start ramping up this pace again. I personally think this is like what I've seen in the last 10, 15 years. This is one of those, like, it's going to go down as a top 5, top 3 performances of all time, especially if this fight ages well and Merab comes back and gets some wins, maybe beats Jan or who knows what. But if Merab continues to get some good wins and all that. But yeah, I mean, obviously he was on the 14-fight win streak. People are perceiving him as impossible to crack. Jan put it best. Merab's name is the Machine. He said all machines break eventually. And he broke Merab. That's like the craziest part, I think, is the fact that it wasn't even like, he survived takedowns, he's just outstriking him, but Merab was relentless. Sure, he still was relentless with 29 takedowns, but I would say by round 4 or 5, and even at the start, at that middle of the round 3 with that liver kick, it's like, looks like Merab is getting tired, A, pace is slowing down, B, and then C, he just looked like a mess. Like, he destroyed and broke Merab. The trilogy's obviously there, but and I will say this too. I thought it was interesting that Merab at the very end was like, I do this for entertaining fight. And it's like, bro, people sometimes think Merab's a little special. And I feel like you say that, and obviously the fans will like you a little more because they go, you're not trying to just, lay on our, some of our favorite fighters. But at the same time, I'm like, you still, A, did take 29 takedowns, and you did try to just hold him against the cage. But B, it's like, man, you're going to go back into your gym in the next week or two, whatever. Ray Longo and all those other guys are just going to be like, if this is true, why do you go against the game plan? Clearly the game plan was to do a lot more grappling and not just stand and, strike with them. And it's like, it just makes me think, like, does he have, like, did he just throw his fight IQ away? Is he, like, actually a little on the spectrum or whatever? Or did he generally go, hey, I have 3 title offenses. If I can do it on the final pay-per-view card and do it in a fashion that even if I don't get the finish like I wanted against Jan, I put him on the brakes kind of like I did with, Sandhagen on his prior one. Yeah, then I get where he's coming from. But it's like, brother, you're not guaranteed an automatic title rematch, even though it would be a great trilogy. Like, it's a business. And now you put yourself in a weird position where you're going to take some time off to heal. And Jan, there's a lot of options for Jan. I mean, Jan has kept the door open, but let's be real. You have someone like Sean O'Malley lurking, fighting in January, and you have Umar fighting in January. Merab might take some time off. Who knows if he has an injury or not. He needs a few weeks, or probably a month or whatever. So if those two come out injury-free, as I bobbed the rankings at the end of this video, and I predicted this too. I thought this was going to be a fight that could happen, and the first half of the prophecy I predicted is true. They haven't updated the thing yet, but Jan, he's going to be the champion. You have O'Malley fighting January, I believe, and you also have Umar fighting on the same card in January, in like the prelims, which is funny. This is where it gets interesting because Umar's was on, I think, was he on a 2-fight win streak? No, he's on a 1-fight. He's going to probably be on a 2-fight. He's fighting Figueiredo, like, definitely going to beat him. And then O'Malley obviously has 2 losses to Merab in a row. Cheeto and then lost to Merab twice. So his stock is in a great position because he's still got that ranking. And Danny loves him because, he brings in those supposed ratings. But yeah, I mean, they're both fighting on, let's see, I believe they're both on 3-2-4. Yep, O'Malley, and also in a good position too, because he's right before the co in the main, so he's gonna have the last word to say. But yeah, Umar, I guess he might get moved to the main. He should be on the main, honestly. Maybe not. Maybe move these women off. I love you, Natalie Silva, but Rose is not too shabby either. But yeah, I think it's very likely that if Sean, especially if he goes out, gets a vintage, because he hasn't had a knockout in ages. If he can knock out Song Yadong, who's on a good little little run himself. He won two. Well, actually, no, he lost. Actually, he only has that Cejudo. I mean, yeah, he has a couple wins. It's more just for him. It's probably he's riding on the fact that he's Chinese and young, power, and they need someone in that country now that Wings Lee dropped the ball. But I think it's destined. If you're thinking a business standpoint, you can run back Jan O'Malley 2 for the belt. Amazing fight in my opinion, especially if O'Malley looks like $1 million come January. You also have Umar getting his second crack, but this time against Jan, Russia versus Russia. There's some funny heat where like Habib has made fun of Jan and this and that, and Jan shot back saying like, oh, because I think if you go look it up, but I believe like Habib was kind of saying like essentially Jan, you're probably past your prime, and that was like a year or two ago, and Jan was just being all like defensive, which he should have been because look what happened. He's still in his prime, probably the best we've ever seen him look, especially against the best competition he's ever fought. But yeah, I mean, you have a ton of matchups. Umar versus Jan. You have O'Malley versus Jan 2. You have, depending on if this guy just comes back, heals instantly because he's got the Wolverine serum. Yeah, who knows? Merab might like be like, I want to fight in like April or whatever it is. Like that trilogy, I think most people, especially Dana, will think, why not? Like do it again. Like clearly, as long as you can have Jan be healthy, it's not gonna be a boring little like Islam or Hamza or whatever. So that's my thought overall. I predict these things. I predict these things, man. Probably my first legit prediction on this channel. So I'll savor it, and especially if Jan goes on a run, I'm gonna savor it every time he wins. But yeah, Jan looked great. Generational performance. You can't beat it. Literally, he couldn't have done anything better than maybe getting the finish around that later fourth, fifth round. But he knew what he was doing. He was like, Marab's still always gonna fight till the last moment. So there was still a danger factor, and he's like, I'm just gonna methodically break him down. That's what he did. So hats off to Jan. Hats off to the other amazing performances that night. Let me know what you think. Do you think Jan? Who should he fight next? Is it gonna be O'Malley? Is it a fresh challenger like Umar, or is it destined to? Because Merab, I think, is going to get it regardless. It's a question of does he get it first, or is he going to wait 6-7 months, maybe come back around the weight-ups? Who knows? But let me know what you think. Like, subscribe. I'm going to try to come up, since there's only a fight night and then the year's over and the fight night's kind of bad. I'm going to try to come up with some fun, creative content this week. So, yeah, let me know what you think.